This tailored suit from 1917 was selected for the Common Threads exhibition because it is an excellent example of a period piece and because it is stunning in style, materials, and design. The large label at the neck indicates it was made by Verna Brothers Tailors, located at 1225 Walnut Street, Philadelphia. Unfortunately, it had an inherent vice. The silk lining of the jacket was shredding due to a manufacturing flaw that was common to many silks in this period. It was not until about a decade after this jacket was made that tin and other metal used for weighting silk became regulated to head off this type of deterioration. In a conservation internship, Kevin Barney and conservators debated what to do about the lining, and in the process it became clear that the lining had to be removed since the metallized silk powder was causing skin and respiratory irritations. Therefore, masks and eye protection were used to thoroughly document the jacket before the lining was removed. During this process, Kevin discovered a small, hidden label that read, Mrs. A. Curtis, 4/25/17. Kevin's research turned to uncovering evidence of an amazing life that possibly would have been lost to history had this object not undergone treatment. Mrs. A. Curtis was identified as Ann Curtis through census data taken during her lifetime. Due to the nature of census taking, she can be traced from 1860 through 1920, with exceptions of 1870 due to marriage and 1890, as nearly all census records from this time were claimed by a fire. We do not have an image of Mrs. Ann Curtis, but we have been able to piece together some details of her life. Ann Curtis was an African-American woman born to formerly enslaved parents in 1853 in Philadelphia. Her father was a weaver, and her vocation and education began early. As of 1860, Curtis, at around the age 7, was able to read and write. From 1870, or age 17, onwards, her occupation was always listed as seamstress or dressmaker. She often worked on her own account, and only between 1910 and 1920, during the creation of this jacket, can she be placed as an employee. Details from her personal life seem to tell the story of an independent woman. However, she was married and had a son named Edgar, who lived to adulthood and became a musician. This first marriage did not last long, as Anne was listed as a widow in the late 19th century. In the early 1900s, she remarried and had a second son late in life, but, sadly, this second child and husband preceded her in death. It is during the 1910s that we find Curtis employed as a salaried worker in a shop, the Verna Brothers Tailors in Philadelphia, where she was one of 7 employees. This is especially remarkable in light of the fact that most African Americans in Philadelphia were not hired for anything other than menial work at this time. W.E.B. Du Bois, a contemporary of Curtis, writes of the hardships faced by skilled African Americans, including seamstresses, living in Philadelphia at the turn of the 20th century in his work, The Philadelphia Negro, A Social Study. He reports that African American seamstresses were often turned away upon application for employment, or they were hired only when they concealed their ethnicity, or they were only given work to be completed off-site, away from the eyes and attitudes of the buying public. One can only imagine the unique set of circumstances that led to Mrs. Curtis working at Verna Brothers and leaving such clear evidence of her identity on this high-end garment.